everybody. Welcome back to Star Wars Minute. It's the daily podcast where we analyze, scrutinize, and celebrate the Star Wars movies 1 minute at a time. I'm Pete the Retailer from PeteTheRetailer.com.
I'm Alex Robinson from AlexRobinson.fun.
And I'm Jackie Kashian. I'm their guest this week, I guess. And I'm a comic, and JackieKashian.com. You can watch me do stand-up. You can sign up to come see my Zoom shows. You can, please God, buy my merch. Because we're in a pandemic, and my garage is full of it. Thank you for having me on the show.
I think you should keep that as a potential title for a memoir. Please God, buy my merch.
Right. Not too on the nose? You don't mind it? All right.
Well, thanks for coming back again, Jackie. We are today discussing Minute 12 of Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. Minute 12 starts with Paige catching the button in a feat of acrobatic, what have you.
Contortionism.
And it ends with the dreadnought crashing and burning in space. Or maybe not crashing, but kind of exploding as it goes.
Definitely burning. Right.
Yes. Lots of burning. Yeah. Attack ships on fire.
In space, as per usual.
Yeah.
Star Wars doesn't care. And I appreciate it.
Exactly. At least they're consistently not caring.
Exactly.
Here's something I care about. And I was rewatching it. I was very disappointed that we never get a shot of like a side view of the bomber and you see the bombs kind of doing that graceful arc, where they all kind of like, 'cause the ship's moving and the bombs kind of trail behind it. We never see any like shot like that. And I was disappointed. I feel like it wasn't handled very as dramatically as I feel like it looked more dramatic when you saw the rebels watching it on that hologram. They showed the Star Destroyer blowing up and stuff. And I thought that looked like I had a better sense of what was going on more so than the other one. But whatevs.
Yeah. All of them just falling out of the bottom was really cool looking.
Yeah.
But it would have been
cool seeing it from
if they
top down.
Yeah, top down. But if we could have seen a shot where they drifted and hit the thing that they were supposed to blow up.
Yeah.
Or what about a bomb's eye view?
Bomb's eye view.
Spinning and spinning and spinning. You go see that in the movie with the shaking box and the smoke and all that.
Right. And that's more of a Dr. Strangelove kind of, we're following that bomb down. Let's do it. Put a GoPro on that bomb.
They did that in Pearl Harbor, I think, didn't they? Did you see one of the bombs? Yeah. No, I think in Pearl Harbor you follow a bomb as it fell from the plane onto the deck of the
Arizona? Or one of the other 37 ships that were sank. I don't know where the fact that I came up with Arizona is kind of impressive to me. I digress.
You're a patriot.
We're not going to call you on it, so because we don't know any better. Speaking of Dr. Strangelove, though, there's some nice touches in that. I don't think we brought this up last week because you see it really clearly only in this minute. But on some of the bombs, there's some stuff written. The crew is written on the bombs.
Oh, that's cool.
The way that
Oh, the World War II guys did.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And one of them has a smiley face. One of them says, there's two different messages. This is an Aurebesh, of course, the Star Wars alphabet. One of them says, "Hi, Snoke." Which,
nice.
That's a good one.
Nice.
And the other one is a little bit confusing as to who did this, who wrote this, who did this. The other one says, "Han says hi." Now, is that who do we think wrote on this bomb that knows about Han Solo? Han Solo, who hasn't really, unless they've kind of memorialized him and made his return to the cause legendary, and this whole because remember there was when they first meet up with him in the last movie in The Force Awakens, it's like, oh, Han Solo, the Resistance pilot, the Resistance hero.
Right. So there's obviously lore.
Right. And then did they kind of then like, oh, and he came back to try to sacrificed himself to save us all? And are they memorializing and kind of like really aggrandizing, lionizing his story in this? So they're like, Han says hi, like we'll get you.
I don't think so. I think that it felt, now that you've said it, not that I noticed it at the moment, but if they, or I would have been able to translate it, none of that.
Right.
But I think that it's one of those things where, there's some people who memorialize these old generals, and
Right.
they, because Han Solo, really grumpy old dude, and but not in the history books. In the history book, he's a swashbuckler and a guy who comes in at the last minute and who was a hero of the Resistance and the Rebel Alliance. So I think that they're probably more like, like people like aggrandize Patton,
Right.
or even Eisenhower. And you're just like, I don't think you have really read everything about that guy. Okay. But fun for them to write that.
Right.
My vote is going to be that back in the day when Han Solo actually was part of the rebellion, he it became almost like a Kilroy was here thing. Like Han Solo wrote it on a few bombs, and then people just started seeing that and go, oh, that's so funny. Not even realizing that there was a real guy named Han. They just started doing it the same way people did Kilroy was here, just because it's
maybe.
something
Yeah.
fun to
Says
do.
hi.
And so,
Han says hi as
Yeah.
the Kilroy was here of Star Wars.
right, exactly. So it would have been funny if in the previous movie when he's like, I'm Han Solo, and he's like, the guy who you did out graffiti all
Yeah.
over the place? And it's like, that's totally overblown, kid, or something like that.
The guy who
So,
Styx wrote a song about?
Or it's a different Han.
Right.
Or it's a different Han, or a guy named
Yeah.
Han worked in the bombing factory,
Yeah.
or the loading bay.
Yeah.
I
HAN
thought-
stands actually for Hera Aeronautics National. So that's the company that
there you
made
go.
the bomb. So
Right. They said hi.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah. So who
High
was
stock
yellow?
prices.
Who was the yellow helmet in the beginning of this minute?
Who shouts bombs away?
Yeah.
She's Tally or
Tally.
Tally or Tally. I keep forgetting because they ridiculously they do have the character named Tally, who I believe this is, but then they're like, she also has a sister named Callie, which
Weird.
Talisan Lintra, aka Tally, who's kind of the squad commander here. She's we met her briefly last week because she's from the planet Pip Pip 3, which is fun to say. Pip Pip 3. And yeah, she's
right.
blue
Sally
leader.
Ho or Callie
Yeah.
Ho from Pip Pip 3.
Tally-ho.
But yeah, she's a pretty cool. She's got a sizable fan interest, I think.
Okay.
People on the internet seem to really like Tally, and with good reason. She's
She's
I'd
the
say
wedge of the sequels.
Yeah,
Okay, and
Yeah.
she lived, so there's always hope
for now.
for now. Yeah.
No spoilers, but for now.
Right.
But yeah, I do like her. I was wondering about her shouting bombs away because she's not the one. Usually it's up to. I did a little research on bombs away, trying to figure out. I was like, when did they first use that? And I couldn't find any good. Oddly, if I type bombs away history, it's just like there's like a band called Bombs Away, and there's other there's no real kind of etymology of the phrase that I could find other than bombers would use it to let everybody know. It's kind of like for or fire in the hole or something like that. It's like,
Right,
hey,
right.
Well, it's after that, though. It's
it's like the
But I
bombs
love-
are away. Yeah.
yeah.
Right. Like Canary's dead. Get out
right,
of this
yeah.
mine. Yes. Canary down. Out. Yeah. So bombs away. Yeah. So I thought, the fact that she had a speaking line, I was impressed for her.
Yeah.
And and I was like, "You go, kid." And then everybody sighs. Like there's some cheering, and there's like one of the Nazi sneers,
Yeah.
but there was a lot of like Leia going, "Remember when my planet blew up? Here's another giant thing that blows up." And
Well, I
more
didn't think
dead
she gets
people.
traumatized every time she sees
Every
something
time
blow
she
up
sees
on a
some
big
giant-
space. Oh dear. Poor Leia. Yeah, I thought her collapsing was kind of like Admiral Akbar collapsing in Return of the Jedi. You see Admiral Akbar like, oh, I'm a
Right.
tired fish, and then Leia's
Yeah.
like, no.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that same kind of moment where they take out that's from Akbar's size when the Super Star Destroyer crashes into the Death Star and everybody's like cheering and he's just kind of like And same idea here.
I had a
Everybody's,
timeshare
like,
on that.
super
Yeah.
excited because they
Oh,
blew
so you
up this
guys think
giant
it's more
ship.
of a relief? You're like, oh, at least it worked, kind of thing.
Well,
yes,
a little
it
bit.
worked. Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
I guess in
everybody else is
Leia's
cheering,
case,
but-
we know, that she's mad because Poe squandered all these. He squandered the squadron, so that's what we know. We find out that's what she's mad about. We never find out why Akbar is so disappointed in.
Right.
He's just sleepy. He had the ties.
I said I wanted that Star Destroyer alive.
Yeah.
So you brought up the passing shot of Captain Kennedy. That's Captain Kennedy, right?
Kennedy. Yep.
The Imperial guy who, true to his sneering even at the end.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, what would the effect be if instead Kennedy was like, we saw him like filled with regret and that his life was over and like tears were streaming down his face? Would we still be happy, or would we be like, oh man, those are real people that they're blowing up in that ship?
I think that
picture
would
of
have
Kennedy looking
been
at his
very
wife.
confusing. Yeah, just a picture of his daughter.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that would have been.
Tell my daughter I meant well. Well, because
What
it's
a
kind of like in the last one we learned that stormtroopers were really just children who'd been kidnapped and forced to become soldiers. So,
Yeah.
Right.
that would have been
And-
expanding.
Right, and then we had to watch
sympathy
that
circle.
whole prequel where we saw that nice little boy turn into Darth Vader. So
Exactly. Yeah. So
I mean,
that would have
it's
been
the humanizing of essentially what are the
Yeah.
bad guys that we get to hate with impunity. Actually, I don't approve of that. I don't
Yeah.
approve of the humanizing of these characters.
That's why it's good that he sneers, because like, oh, see, even when he's dying, he's
Get
still
out!
he's still a jerk about it.
Yeah,
He's a jerk right to the end.
to the end.
Yes.
I think they should have had him laugh maniacally. Like he sees the thing exploding, it's just like and then boom, blows up. That would have been like, God, that guy's weird. I'm glad he's dead.
I'll be back. That's what he should
Yeah.
say right before. I want my last words to be "I'll be back." Freak
You
people
could
out.
you could put it on your gravestone.
Yeah.
Though of course I don't think anyone's getting buried anymore. Everyone's just getting fried. So isn't everyone just turning
Yeah.
into ashes? You put it on an urn.
I want my last words to be poodoo.
Hoodoo.
Right before,
Voodoo.
right before I die, I'm like poodoo, and then hopefully I'll explode or fall off something high, or I don't know.
I want that in your living will to be that you want you to be exploded in as your final your final thing. Not just DNR, but actually TNT is what it should say on your see on your chest.
Nice.
So when the dreadnought blows up and we see it falling onto the planet, and it's very much like the modern, when we see the shield helicarrier blowing up or anything blowing up, we see like parts of it, and it takes a couple of minutes for the whole thing to blow up. Mm-hmm. Do you think we'll ever see like a Death Star 1 type thing where we just see an explosion and boom, the whole thing just disintegrates like the same way the original Death Star did? Or
I love
now
that,
it's
actually.
like
Yeah.
now it's like, well, now we have to show like all the stations, we have to show it blowing up slowly. I guess they did with Starkiller Base, they did that. So
Starkiller Base was going kind of slowly. It was like the reaction.
it was much more. So we'll never see one of those big boom, just like one shot.
No, for
and it's
some
gone
reason,
type
because they have the technology to make it to show us. You're just like, oh, we're gonna get to see somebody's their face as they,
and cool shots of machinery blowing up
Yes.
and explosions and.
Going back. So even with like Kennedy sneer.
The bounty hunter,
and then this kind of slow motion exploding, bursting into flames, kind of like compare that with that shot of Tarkin, kind of Tarkin is just he's kind of looking upset like right to the last second, and he's just kind
pensive.
of calmly just looking out the window, and then
just
boom,
irritated.
like, suddenly it explodes.
Right. It turns out that the Empire does pick their generals well. It's just like they're just like very emotionless, kind of like fine.
Right.
We're gonna have to get another one of these, and maybe Tarkin's last thought was, well, I guess I'm this job is over, and
Yeah.
I think he was plotting his comeback even then.
I'll be back.
Well, as we know, he's Snoke. So, I do want another kind of sudden thing like that. Like that's because that's such a relief of tension too. The way that's built up, you're building up the tension. The music is building up the kind of you've got both parts like a race to the end, race to the finish, and then like boom, it gives this amazing like build up and release.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like these other ones are good, but they're not that same kind of like tension, boom.
Yeah.
So
it's more like a tension, slow release as the ship is slowly destroyed.
Right.
So more like a whimper than a bang.
Right.
One thing I enjoyed about this minute was watching the background extras. One of the pleasures of getting to watch a minute over and over again is that you get to see people in the background trying to act like they're doing stuff when there's clearly no like once the ship blows up and you see Leia slumping back into her chair. If you watch the extras in the background, they're just kind of like
checking on.
They're just kind of like rubbing their hands on like those glass panels and stuff. And it reminds me also of Admiral Akbar similarly when you see all the Mon Calamari staff members behind him, and like they can't point or like, so they're just kind of like flapping their flippers up against the wall. So similar type thing.
Well, there's a human here. There's lots of humans in the Resistance, but there's a human here in the room. I'm not going to say which one of us it is.
Yeah.
No, there's a human who has a line here, and I tried to dig in on him. There's a guy. Once they blow up the bombs hit, the dreadnought is falling to pieces, and the Resistance Monitor is his only character name. And there's a couple of different characters. And you look up Resistance Monitor, there's another one who we I think have already spoken to, and it's a fairly generic. It's like Rebel Soldier, you know. But I was able to find the actor's name. There's a British actor named Jonathan Harden, but the character has no name. And I was like, oh, is this like because when I started Googling it, it's like, oh, here's all the cameos. And I was like, oh, is this one of those things where it's like somebody from a show that I've never seen that's really popular in the UK or something like that? No.
Coupling.
No, this is just the thing that he's best known for. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, he's just, he's a working actor.
He's new.
He's new.
Yeah.
It's not a bad break if it wasn't uncredited, as long as it was credited, but it means he got paid.
He'll be on the convention circuit for the rest of his life.
Exactly.
Right.
That's the dream.
Right. Yeah, you could.
That's the dream, is to be the guy who's just like, look out, here they, in a Star War, and then that's it. Then you're set. You can just go sell your name for $20 a pop. Yes,
but it's 8 hours of work, and I think in your 70s you start going, I like the movie. Sure, it was 100 years ago.
That's funny. I never noticed that it says that on the bomb.
So, Jackie, you're a famous person. If they approached you about having a cameo in a Star Wars, assuming you would do it, would you want to be a rebel? Would you want to be in a stormtrooper costume? You want to be an alien, a droid? What would be your
if you look at Mandalorian, there's a bunch of stand-up comics in The Mandalorian.
Yeah, got a good shot there.
Brian Posehn got blown up in the first episode, and I was like, "Oh, that's a drag." I wouldn't. I mean, I would take the work. I'm not saying I wouldn't not take the work to get blown up as a taxi driver, but it would be. Yeah, I was trying to think.
So you'd want to see your face then. You wouldn't want to be wearing prosthetics or a droid or something like that. You'd want to be people who say, "Oh, look, that's Jackie Kashian there."
Well, what I've been trying to put it out there is that what I really want to be in is Star Trek Lower Decks. So, which is just voiceover. I'm not even on screen at all. Yeah. So I wouldn't care. You could. It is the way. You could put a bunch of prosthetics on me and and I could have to go on my knees for half a day.
I know this isn't a Star Trek show, but were you what do you think? Is you like an alien race that you prefer as far as Star Trek goes, or do you want to be a human or?
Oh no, I like the idea of. Because here's what I mean, and this isn't a Star Trek, but the Lower Decks, I wanted it to be entirely in the Lower Decks.
Right.
And it would be kind of cool if, and this is dating myself again, but how great would it be if I were that character like in Real Genius who lived underneath the school and applying.
Laszlo.
And, yeah, Laszlo. Oh my God, Peter. Well played. Well played. On a thin air that was pulled.
One of my favorites. I love Real Genius.
It's a
But,
great movie.
It is.
Real Genius Minute podcast on the side.
I don't think anybody's doing Real Genius Minute. There's a surprising amount of movies that are being dissected this way, but I don't know if anybody's doing Real Genius yet.
Yet.
Well, I support that plan. Of you
Yeah,
just
me
kind
too.
of living in a Jeffrey's tube, hanging out, living your life.
Oh,
Two
how
in
cool
it.
would that be? Yeah. and in Star Wars, it would be kind of great, because I have sort of that your favorite aunt energy.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see myself being sort of cast as that, as someone's, the cool character's weird relative who shows up and you're like, what? That's her aunt, or that's his aunt?
I like the idea, like you're Ray's aunt. Like she's like, yeah, I have no family. Oh, except for my Aunt Jackie.
My eccentric aunt.
I would like to be Ray's aunt.
I support that campaign.
I
as
have
well.
no family.
Yeah, the post-credit scene in The Force Awakens should be you coming out of the walker being like, where the hell did she go? You're waiting for Ray to come back.
Wait, no, I was supposed to take her back to.
I've been
Now
waiting for
where the
that
hell
bread for hours.
Yeah.
I'll give her
I'll
10
give her
more
5 more
minutes.
minutes. Yeah. I think we can do that in sync. I had a question about backing up a little bit. The bomber. Well, as soon as the bombs are away, as we said, as soon as the chips are ahoy, there's a the bomber just kind of falls into the dreadnought with the bombs.
Yeah.
Which I was like, well, why is that? Is that because the pilot is dead and there's no once the bombs are gone, then it as things explode, it just kind of gets sucked in, or is it because it's is the ship basically flying over I'm doing a hand gesture here, but it's like the ship flying over the dreadnought. When the dreadnought gets exploded, and there's nothing, kind of falls through the floor essentially. Why does
I thought it was
bomber
just being
crash?
pulled down by the gravity of the planet.
Could be, but why was it? It was flying fairly straight, and then once it releases the bombs, it's just like. "Meow."
Well, I think because there's no one driving it at that point, so it's just kind of.
Yeah, I think
it's
you
like
were right in the first, because the pilot's dead, and so it just sort of.
Right.
And I don't know if you know this about the axles. It tends to go left.
Needs an alignment.
It has not. Yeah, it has not been balanced in a while.
Yeah. Well, the rebels,
Pronounced Alex, actually,
I mean, the resistance, they can't afford to take their ships in for maintenance all the time.
Right.
They gotta let it go. All the B-wings have check engine lights on, all that stuff.
Well, the weird thing about that is that it seems like even if she had died, that thing would have smashed. The bomber would have just crashed into the dreadnought anyway. It was
Right,
kind of
full of
on
bombs.
that sort of parabola. What's the term?
Yeah.
That arc.
Trajectory.
Anyway, trajectory. There you go.
There you go.
Sciencey word. Yeah, that's all I got for this minute.
Me too.
Yeah, pretty much. I said Hunt says hi.
Huh?
Yeah, and I like that's the other thing. I just like the little X-Wing checklist kind of status screen that she has, where it's almost like Battleship or something, where Leia's looking, and it's like, here's all the ships, and if you see one of them, it closes its wings while it's on the screen. Like, it starts out with the S-foils in attack position, and then they lock up because they're flying back.
Oh, so they can keep track. They have almost like their computers are synced up with like BB-8's computer, so they know what's going on.
Yeah,
Like with the X.
Right. All I saw were the big X's, and her just
Yeah.
sort of being like, oh, all right.
I assumed she was playing some kind of video game or something, where she had match them or something like that.
It's Gorf.
Yeah, that's why she was so disappointed, because she lost the previous game. She's like, oh, I lost to Hacky Sack 977.
Well, on that note, I think that's all we had for 12. Jackie, can we convince you to come back tomorrow for minute 13, do you think?
Sure, let's do minute 13 tomorrow.
Right. Well, in the meantime, you listeners and viewers, if you're listening to this and you'd like to watch it, why not go to StarWarsMinute.com/YouTube, and that'll bring you to our YouTube channel where all these episodes are being posted. And there's a bunch of handful of old content there too. But this is the first season that we're testing out doing a video of every episode. So go check it out, subscribe, tell us what you think. If you want to tell us what you think, you can go find us on Twitter. We're at Star Wars Minute, and or on Instagram. You can look at us post things. We're the pictures and whatnot at the Star Wars Minute. And other than that, hopefully we'll see and hear you back here tomorrow for a brand new episode of Star Wars
Star Wars Minute.
Minute.